Welcome into the CHGO Bears After Dark podcast. I've been looking forward to the show since, sometime late on Friday night. This is just an absolute joy and a basket of goodies tonight. We are proudly, as you well know, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app, use the promo code CHGO when you sign up, and if you bet fairly Dickerson on Friday night, you were rolling in the dough, taking those 23.5 points. It was free money, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to all those who played that on the DraftKings Sportsbook. And yes, Gary Ross, I might be buying myself an FDU banner. No, I would never do that to my guy, Fairleigh Dickinson, who's on the show tonight. Good to see you, Fairleigh.
Yes, this show is brought to you by a bunch of evil people at CHGO who literally were dancing on my grave the minute the buzzer sounded. They didn't even wait for the wound to heal, just twisting the knife while I'm bleeding out on the floor.
I think it actually started with about 3 minutes to go. The first salvo was fired by head of content Kevin Kadek in the Slack channel, which I hope is a mind that I'm bringing her, which was please let this happen. And then we all just proceeded to enjoy the Brags dismantling. It's all out of love, buddy. We love you. It's been a tough tournament for the Big Ten. Yeah. You're not alone. Everyone is in there with the exception of those who root for green.
My guys, Waddle and Sylvie had me on their show today to talk about this epic collapse, and they said the same thing, that this was out of love. And I said, this is the weirdest showing of love I think I've ever experienced in my life. 80 people just laughing at my misery all at once. I mean, it was a tidal wave of emotion because obviously I was very upset they lost, and then had to deal with everyone just laughing at my expense of all of this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow night on our CHGO Big After Dark with Cody and Sean. Me and Cody certainly have some bones to pick. I know Gary Ross is enjoying my misery as well. But as we all know, I think all of us, with the exception of anyone that roots for Michigan State, the Big Ten just isn't where it needs to be as a conference for March. So I don't really know if we've got too many victory laps for any of us in the Big Ten.
No, but
Greg, you know what I think it is? Greg? It's like the week before you had the brick by brick shirt, Davey. You were on top of the world, Greg.
You're hitting it on the head right here.
Right? You had to level it out here. And look, I picked your Purdue Boilermakers to win it all, and I didn't even know it actually happened until like later on in the night or whatever.
No, you hit it right on the head. Life is about balance. And I'm someone that rolls on the highs and lows. And last week, having this shirt out, make sure you go and get it. Brick by brick shirts available. And if you want the hoodie, become a diehard, along with a lot of very good content added onto that. When you're a diehard, you can get that hoodie basically for free. And we're building this thing up brick by brick. But yes, it was a big week and a big few weeks for what we're doing here and what I've been doing personally. So I needed the balance. I needed the humble check. I needed some crow, some reality pie, and I got it. So here we are. I'm balanced out, and I've learned the error of my ways, hyping up my squad that I so desperately wanted to see a deep run for, but not in the cards. So now we move on to baseball and the NFL draft and see if the Bears can make up for, a year of tough sports across the board for Chicago sports and the teams I root for.
Well, Greg, it's very important in life to move forward. And I've learned that in my couple of spins around the old earth here at the tender young age that I feel, yet do not necessarily look, especially on an after dark where I'm just, feeling here late in the day. It's past my bedtime. But I do, when you circle back on your year as a fan, and we're going to move on to what the Bears are going to do at 9 here and take a little closer look at Ryan Poles. So don't worry, Bears fans, we got you covered. It's After Dark, a little more loose, as you know. Have some fun over here. But Greg, I remember going to the Combine, and I remember being at a bar with you and lots of other Chicago media. And I remember you being upset about something that had happened with Northwestern beating Purdue, and somebody didn't treat you right. And so you were just going to go out and exact revenge and torment Northwestern and me specifically all night long. And you were very successful at it. You ruined the night for me. I was thinking of leaving the bar. Other people in the Chicago media thought you were a complete jerk. You did all
Kevin
that.
Fishbane.
Kevin Fishbane. I don't think Courtney Cronin was a huge fan of yours that night. There was a long list of people. Adam Hogue didn't like you that much. I mean,
Nobody likes me.
Nobody liked you, and you just kept on leaning in further and further and further. And I don't know how much you believe in karma, but if you do, I think you can point to that evening as the night that you sewed the old coffin, put the nails, got them all ready for what happened on Friday night.
No. Let's not get it twisted.
Let's
move on to Bears.
I don't even think I'm
Let's
twisted.
not get it twisted. You
Nick,
guys started this rivalry.
Nick.
I dished it back. If I had not said a word that night during the Northwestern game, you guys still would have twisted the knife on Friday. So let's not pretend here. I'm not going to let it slide. We all know you guys were sharpening your knives
for the
last month.
We did.
So I got my shots in. Now I know where it stands. All right. And Nick's on the list. I don't care if he was nice about it or not. Everyone's on the list. And if you guys want to play that game, one day I'll have my moment to give it back, and we'll see. We'll see how everybody takes it, because I had to take it in stride, and I did my best.
You
texting Carman at 4 a.m.
4:17. All right, so let's get to the number 9 overall pick in the draft as we have moved through free agency. The trade was obviously a huge day in Chicago Bears land, and since then there's been some level of excitement, but I think people are pretty calm, and now we're getting down to this. The Bears have interviews set up with 30 players, Jalen Carter among them. We talked about that on the noon show today. Braggs, you've been adamant that the Bears are going to trade the pick. Nick, you wanted to lead off with this tonight, so why don't we start with you? Where are you at on what you think is going to happen at 9 on March the 20th, 5 weeks away from the draft?
I think when we're looking at just still the needs that this team has, even after what it was a big free agency for Ryan Poles, I think you trade back to see what you can still get, because there's that gap between that 9th pick and then later on in the second round where you'll be selecting. And I just think like every year there is a quarterback that falls, and one of these teams, like I'm looking at, let's say Tennessee, for example, at 11. I don't know if they have their quarterback, their franchise quarterback of the future on that roster right now. Even if you go even further back a little bit, like Houston's there at 12, they'll probably get their guy if they want it at 2. But I look at even Green Bay and Washington, like no one's talking about it. Like Jordan Love's just the guy, maybe he is, but Washington doesn't have a quarterback for the future. Sam Howell, if that's a guy, like if you're willing to trade back into those teams and still with the trenches being a big need for the Bears, I would say as of right now, March 20th, the Bears are going to trade the number 9 overall pick and move back to just to get more capital between right now where they're slotted at 9 and where they're going to end up selecting after that, because it's just a big gap. And I think there's still quality players you could select if you're able to move back in that area.
Right. Because, I mean, like Hogue said, they have 1 pick in the top 50, but 4 in the top 64. So you're trying to get more picks in that top 50. And I'm right there with you. This is something I've been talking about pretty much since the moment we made the trade to 9, that they need to trade back again. It seems fairly obvious to me. I mean, does Hogue have a new mock draft out now that the Bears have moved to 9, or has he not updated a new mock draft? I can't remember or not. Because my biggest question to it is, who are the 4 non-quarterbacks that are going to be taken between 1 and 8? Because it would be an ideal scenario if Anthony Richardson or Will Levis falls to 9, but I at this point don't believe that's going to happen. I think all 4 quarterbacks are going to come off the board before 8. So now you have 4 non-quarterbacks being taken from 4 to 8, and then the Bears pick at 9. So you're talking Skoronski, Paris Johnson Jr., you're talking Lucas Van Ness, Tyree Wilson, Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Broderick Jones is a name I keep hearing from people that know the offensive line game better than me. Are those guys all going to be on the board at 9? Because then it absolutely makes all the sense in the world to trade back, because you still have all those names I just picked, which everyone is so divided on which one we should take. So if they're all just kind of in that same category, why not add more picks? You could if it's a quarterback, if Anthony Richardson or Will Levis falls to 9, you could potentially still acquire an additional future first round pick with that trade up. The Bears traded from 20 to 11 to get Justin Fields and gave a future first round pick for that. So that's still on the table. We're not going to know until the night of the draft. And that's why Poles had to make that trade from 1 to 9 as opposed to 2. But those are some of the names. Kalijah Cansey, I see in the chat from Doug Van Dorn, another name. That's a guy that you could trade back. So there's just so many names there that I keep seeing brought up. It just, to me, makes too much sense to trade back.
So, and just to pile on the questions on this Bears After Dark, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Great to see everybody tonight. Thank you for checking it out. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bears fans, rise and shine, Gregory Braggs. I don't think there's any name at 9 that Bears fans, anyone on this show, any expert that I've talked to or read has, like, if this dude is there, you have to take him. If Paris Johnson is there, you have to take him. Peter Skoronski is there, you have to take him. If the corner from Illinois Witherspoon drops, you have to take him. That I'm telling you, that is a perennial Pro Bowler. You make that pick. No one has come up and said that, and maybe we can get some draft level nerds on here who watch it even closer than we do that might have a take like that. But I haven't heard it yet. And so to lean into what you got,
Jalen Carter. The only name would be Jalen Carter if there wasn't all this stuff surrounding him. You're talking about a guy that was originally projected to be in the top 4. If he was at 9, obviously we all have different opinions on his off the field issues and whether or not he's going to mature enough to be worth the risk. But that's the one name at 9 where you're like, man, you may regret passing on him, but you understand why a team would.
I mean, we did that earlier today. If you missed it, when there's a clip out on social media moving around where I'm adamant the Bears are not going to draft Jalen Carter, even though they're talking to Jalen Carter. And Hogue is not willing to make that statement. And it's obviously possible that I'm proved wrong here. But I just don't think that's an option for the Bears. I don't think Ryan Poles, in this slow rebuild where there have been many options where the Bears could have gone all in. One in particular that we can discuss tonight is Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown didn't get near the amount of money that everyone thought he was going to get. $64 million over 4 years to end up in Cincinnati was not what anyone expected would happen with Orlando Brown. If the Bears were thinking all in, win now, they might have taken a guy like Brown who doesn't fit perfectly, but certainly came at an affordable price range relative to what we thought he would be at it in the free agent market. Didn't do it. They didn't. CJ Gardner-Johnson, reasonable price. Could have been a nice Band-Aid for the Bears if you wanted to upgrade the secondary even further. Didn't do it. They are sticking to a methodical plan here, which when I get to Jalen Carter, that seems like we got to fast forward this thing right now. We're going to take a big time risk on somebody who's got some serious character issues. I just don't see it. I don't. And it's interesting that that's the name that you threw out there. I would think it more so for Poles, it would be somebody that he thinks is going to be elite and could protect Justin Fields. Like, is it Broderick Jones? Is it Paris Johnson? Is it Peter Skoronski? Like, who does he like the most that can be a plug and play left tackle, right tackle that changes the dynamic even further of your offensive line? And or somebody who can get to the quarterback, which of course would be Carter, but not Carter, because I just don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, guys, there was a video that surfaced just on, again, scrolling through social media, but it was a Jalen Carter getting stopped for speeding. The dude was going 89 miles per hour in a 45 zone. And he's like, the cop kept reassuring him, you're not going to jail. You're not going to jail. I'm like, dude's 44 over the speed limit. Like, and Georgia has different laws, but I'm like, man, there's just so much things that I feel like keep coming up with Jalen Carter.
I missed that. When was that?
So the video that's on YouTube now, it was from 2 weeks ago. That's when they posted it. So I don't know exactly when the stop happened.
And the stop was from a while ago. The video just
so it's
surfaced
not yesterday.
recently.
Okay.
Correct.
No, not yesterday. But it's like there's just a bunch of things that are now kind of all surfacing all at once, right? When you're thinking of all the baggage that Jalen Carter comes with, but talent-wise, what Greg was saying, like there's no denying the talent on the field. His pro day or his pro day didn't show that, but what he has done in games is significant. But yeah, like all of you guys are saying, it's like there's a lot of guys in that range where I think if the Bears feel comfortable with either one of them, if you make that trade back, you're hoping that one of those 6 to 8 that you still think is your blue chip guys could potentially be there. The only problem I have with some of the tackles, you guys, like let's say you go draft, I don't know, it's Peter Skronsky, which we kind of established earlier show that he's played left tackle for Northwestern. That's a position he has played. So you move him to left tackle. You still don't like. We don't know if Braxton Jones can make a transition to right tackle. So you still have questions on the right side. So I'm wondering if you trade back, if you're looking for, maybe a guy that just naturally plays that position, because you still just need to fill out this line with the best guys available, and you're hoping to do that with guys that actually play the position and know how to play the position.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I'm getting greedy. I want more assets because I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with the roster starting to get filled out, at least at the top of the roster. The depth is always going to be an issue, and they're not going to solve their depth problems this in one offseason. But essentially, and Hogue laid it out today, when they signed Nate Davis, they essentially fixed their entire interior offensive line with Nate Davis at right guard, Cody Whitehair at center, Tevin Jenkins presumably at left guard. And you've got Braxton Jones at one of the tackle spots. We're one tackle. You're telling me we're one tackle away from having our offense essentially set with a solid wide receiver room before we even get to the draft, a solid tight end before we get to the draft, and a dynamic quarterback, running back room is set. Kari Blasingame just got signed. If you had said before free agency started that we'd be one right tackle away before the draft got here of on paper having a respectable offense being put out there, I'd be head over heels as a Bears fan, knowing the amount of holes they have on both sides of the ball to fill. So I'm just getting greedy here. I want to trade back because then I can see an opportunity where we might be able to draft a player of luxury in the early second round if that's what we so choose. I know everybody's talking about Cody Mauch and different guys like that. I want to double down on wide receiver. Bring in Zay Flowers to add to this wide receiver room. I want more picks of luxury because we're just not there yet as a team or a franchise. But if they're able to trade back one more time, maybe they are. I don't know. But I'm excited because Poles has got us to a place where we're close to fielding a respectable team, which we were nowhere close to at any point last year. And by the end of the year, it was downright ugly what the guys they were putting out there were. They were third string players in a lot of ways, all due respect.
Hit the like button if you like what the Bears have done with their offensive line. I mean, Braggs, you just painted a very rosy picture, which I'm not here to completely ruin it, but you are asking for dudes to settle into a lot of spots that they haven't played. Is Nate Davis coming in here to play right guard? Or are they moving him to left guard? Is Cody Whitehair going to be successful going back to center? Is Tevin Jenkins, are you leaving him there or is he moving? And is he healthy? I mean, these are all legitimate questions.
And injuries are going to happen too. That's the other aspect of it.
Right. I mean, can Braxton Jones, and of anything that I'm probably most confident in is Braxton Jones putting on weight and getting better. He had a very solid rookie year, played every snap. But if you ask him to move, if you do draft a left tackle and you ask him to move, now you're asking him to play a different position. I mean, there's a lot. I think we're a long way, at least in my mind, away from feeling super comfortable that the offensive line is set. Now, that being said, they could go out and, draft a right tackle and say that it's plug and play and let's roll. But they certainly have done a lot more there than they've done with the defensive line, at least as far as confidence. But I mean, let's also be real here. They've done one thing. It's not, we're not. I don't think Nate Davis solves everything here. I think we got to have some level of realism.
Yeah, I mean, to expect Tevin Jenkins to be healthy for an entire season is completely unreasonable. I completely agree with that. But I agree with Hogue that Whitehair's better position as center. Nate Davis is a solid right guard. Braxton Jones is going to be in his second year. And if they draft Paris Johnson, he's a top 10 pick then, essentially. So I'm going to feel pretty good at 4 of my 5 spots, and I'll live with whatever's going to happen with Tevin Jenkins. You just picked up DJ Moore to a wide receiver room. I promise they're going to, in my opinion, I think at some point they'll draft wide receiver, even in the 4th or 5th round, like a Charlie Jones out of my Purdue Boilermakers University or something like that. But to me, like I said, on paper, it's a respectable offense, much different than what we went into last year with. So I'll take that. Depth, like I said, they're not going to solve that, and injuries are going to happen, but I'll be excited going into week 1 if that's the team they're going to put out there. They're not that far away. Now, defensive line, they still got a long ways to go there. That's the one spot on the whole team they still don't have an answer for yet.
Yeah, well, it sounds like if you were betting the over on the Bears right now via the DraftKings Sportsbook app, if you're betting the Bears, Braggs is taking the over. By the way, if you're betting NBA or MLB, even the World Baseball Classic. And by the way, I put a couple bets down over the weekend on DraftKings. I got the LA Lakers $10 to win the Western Conference, big time spender over here. And I've got the LA Lakers $10 to win the whole damn thing. I got 25 to 1 odds, 2,500 was the number. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about it, but I could have gotten 50 to 1 like a week ago. So I'm a little bummed that I didn't act quicker, but I finally, put the money where my mouth is. Download that app now and sign up with the code CHGO. New customers, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And also, again, use that code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
And after you download the DraftKings Sports app, you have to go check out Goose Island, because CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988. So many great options like the Blackhawks Pale Ale, Bull City 312, the Beer Hug IPA series, and my favorite, No Plans. Goose Island's 2 locations are open and ready to welcome you. Grab a beer right from their innovation tanks at the Goose Island Tap Room at 1800 West Fulton, or get a smash burger and a fresh beer of the week at the original Clybourne Brewhouse at 1800 North Clybourne. For reservations and pickup, go to gooseisland.com/locations. Goose Island Beer Company.
All right, so as we move along here, is there any point in seeing any of this Jalen Carter speeding video, which Steven has, or should we not play that? I haven't seen it, so I'm deferring to you two.
No, it's just I would say a routine traffic stop where his windows are tinted above like the legal limit. He's obviously going way faster over the legal limit.
And I'm not ever going to judge a guy for speeding. I speed everywhere I go. So full disclosure, I have driven 40 miles over the limit in speeding zones. So I'm willing to admit that. So we're all not perfect. And I know what Jalen Carter's situation and what happened in the particular racing incident is much more serious. And I've never been involved in anything like that. But at the same time, speeding, I get it. He's a young kid that's made a lot of dumb decisions. We've been over this many times here on this show and on the afternoon shows. I just think at some point we are somewhat beating a dead horse when it comes to this. Maybe not a great pun there, but I don't think I agree with Carm. I don't think they're going to take him. I'm more interested in when Carm's going to get a haircut personally.
Excuse me? What are you saying, Gregory?
You're just looking shaggy. It's like all long, and I don't know. Maybe you need to put some wax in it or something.
Wax?
I don't know. Whatever you do to make your hair not look like you just got out of bed.
Okay, first of all, I had an elite yoga this
look
afternoon.
at Nick's hair. Nick looks great. You look like, I don't know. You look like a bum.
Oh, wow.
Let me go to the comments here.
What does Steven think? Steven has to agree.
No. Yeah, sure, Steven, you can jump in here too. Do I need a haircut and whatever mousse or gel or paste that Nick is rocking?
I think
Or
the nice way of
or do I
saying
look
what Braggs
great?
is trying to say is you could use a little product in there, I guess. My yeah, you could use a haircut. Yes, I'm leaning towards Braggs on this one actually.
I mean,
It's a little
okay.
it's a little fuzzy up here. That's all.
That's 2 for 2. I mean,
But
I think just in general, I look clean. And looking at Braggs right now, it's almost like you can smell him. Like it's
like sausage.
I mean, just kind of gross. And
Oh yeah, see,
it's
he's trying to
and
turn it around. The Kansas City Shuffle here.
yes.
oh my gosh.
And let me get Crystal in, who's spending money all day on me. And Crystal, I owe you drinks when you get to town. $4.99. Braggs. Nope, we're not doing this. Leave Carm alone. Team Carm, you look fine, Carm. Thank you, Crystal.
Crystal has been Team Carm all day long.
Yep.
I followed Crystal on Twitter today. Now, did Carm? I don't know about that, Crystal. I know I did. Man of the people here. Carm might have big timed you. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Carm and Crystal are
it's an inseparable bond.
That's exactly right. Don't bark up that tree. That's not fair. And I mean, you want to go at my hair. That's just it's another that's another Boilermaker loss. Hey, hey, Gregory.
Yes, sir.
Let me read you some names. All right.
I'm ready.
And I'm doing the same thing for you, Nick. Donta Foreman, Robert Tunyon, Andrew Billings, PJ Walker, Travis Homer, Tremaine Edmonds, Nate Davis, TJ Edwards. Who are you most excited about in that list of 8 players? Foreman, Tunyon, Billings, Walker, Homer, Edmonds, Davis, Edwards. And you can even rate of all those that I just named 1 to 10 where you put what number it is on the guy you're most excited about. Same thing for the chat, by the way.
You didn't say you're leaving DJ Moore.
I'm leaving the trade out of it. I'm just talking
that's the easy one.
I'm just talking strict free agents, not anybody we got in the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty easy question. Tremaine Edmonds is the one you're most excited for. I mean, for me personally, he said brick by brick in his presser, so he's won me over. I'm buying the jersey. But overall, beyond that, he's the talent he's bringing in.
I should have given a caveat. If you say Edmonds, who's your 2?
If I'm gonna say who's my 2,
that's exactly right, Crystal. Carm Fowles. We talk. $1.99 to confirm. That's my Crystal. Keep going, Braggs. Give me your 2.
Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to say Nate Davis, right? I mean, the whole talk is about the trenches, and that's the one impact move they've made on the trenches so far. They've made a couple guys that have, rotational potential on the defensive line, not anybody that you would necessarily call a game changer. I don't know if Nate Davis is a game changer, but he's Mr. Reliable, like you guys were talking today on the afternoon show, and a big upgrade from what they've had at guard last year. So Nate Davis is probably the one at this point beyond Tremaine Edmonds that I'm most excited for.
Are you faking excitement? Because I think if I look really close.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I broke down the Nate Davis tape or watched Tennessee Titan games and focused on Nate Davis. But I know what his reputation is, and the people that I trust that follow the Bears closely, that understand tape better than I do, are excited about Nate Davis. They call him a road grader, a guy that gets it done. Adam Hogue, what you're getting from him. When I hear those kind of things, that's great. That's what we need from our offensive line. We had no idea what we were getting from our offensive line. Now we have a guy we know what we're getting from. Sign me up. We need 3 more of those guys.
That's a good answer. I like Nate Davis, but I'm going to go Deontay Foreman. I know earlier on today's podcast, I said that, losing David Montgomery, the running game is not as strong as it is with him in it being as the substitute, but he still has a lot of ability to do some good things in this Bears offense. He does create more of those explosive plays that David Montgomery wasn't capable of doing while he was with the Bears this past season. And I just think there's an untapped area of his game, especially in the passing game, or as a receiver, that he himself, you look at his stats, like you're not going to see it. but he said there just wasn't as many opportunities in the places that he was at before to where he can still expand on that area of his game. And he has that resiliency factor that Ryan Poles does like. You know, he had the torn Achilles back in his rookie season. And then over the past, when he tore it in 2017, he only rushed for 94 yards on 29 carries over the next 3 seasons. And then he goes to Tennessee and kind of gets his footing. And then obviously in Carolina, now he's here on a 1-year kind of prove it deal in place of a David Montgomery, with David Montgomery gone. So I like putting, if I'm going to put some money or stock into people, it's those guys that, have that little chip on their shoulder. And I think with this rushing attack, this wide zone scheme, he fits it. So I think just schematically, he can do some good things. I still think there's a little bit more to Foreman that we've actually seen in the NFL. So I'm going to go with Deontay Foreman.
Would you have
and Nomad says in the chat, every signing so far is an upgrade, and I agree with that. But for me, the way I'm trying to answer Carm's question is, what are the most significant upgrades? Like, I know I give David Montgomery a lot of crap on our shows. Him and Deontay Foreman, maybe Deontay Foreman is going to end up being much better than him, but they're close, right? To me, it's a significant upgrade with the linebackers we picked up compared to the linebackers we had last year. And it's a significant upgrade with Nate Davis compared to some of the guards we were putting out there last year. So that was kind of where I was trying to answer that question.
I just, I'm nitpicking here, and maybe I just would have liked him here because I like entertaining players, and I would have liked to have seen Nick and Jamal Williams become best friends. But the dude ran for 1,000 yards last year. Okay. He got a 3-year deal worth $12 million and 8 guaranteed, right, to go down to New Orleans. He had 17 rushing touchdowns last year. That's good, pretty damn good number. That's 1 a game on average. Let me do the math for you. 17 games, 17 rushing touchdowns. And you just said Foreman here, Nick. You think you like him more than Jamal? We could, that would have been an interesting. We could have
Jamal Williams would have been. Yeah, he would have been. If
that wasn't my original.
The price was right. Yeah, but yeah, I would have liked Jamal Williams. I think that would have been a good addition. He would have fit, but the price would have been wrong, right? That would have been like the big thing, and that's why ultimately they went with Foreman. But yeah, he was super productive with Detroit. Like you said, you put all the stats out there. He was a very productive running back, and Deontay Foreman, outside of last season, hasn't been that. And again, injuries and opportunities have gone in the wrong direction for him, but we'll see. This is his chance. He didn't come here to be the backup to Khalil Herbert. He came here to compete, but he's going to be a team player and do whatever the team asks him to do, as all players say they will. But yeah, he's Jamal Williams would have definitely been interesting. Would have loved to talk to him every day in the locker room.
I mean, that wasn't my original question, but I'm just
well, I mean, that's the difference between Foreman and Jamal Williams and David Montgomery is the value, because you're getting Foreman at a cheaper price. And he is a productive running back. He had good numbers last year in some key categories, as Adam Hogue said. Good. I need running backs that are good in key categories, not just hard yards. And you guys said it was that position group with the running backs is slightly down from last year, and I disagree. And again, this isn't disrespect towards David Montgomery. And at least there's some people sensible enough to be willing to say that David Montgomery was slightly overrated by some Bears fans. I just hate saying it. Maybe he's going to make me eat my words like I did with Purdue this year, 2 times a year with the Lions and within our division for the next few years. But to me, Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman are just as good, if not better, than David Montgomery in key categories that you need to be as a running back. And as we've talked about, Will DeWitt has brought it up a few times as far as run blocking or pass blocking grades. They're not that far off, the 3 of these running backs. This narrative that Khalil Herbert is the worst pass blocking running back of all time is just the low-hanging fruit, because it's an echo chamber that everyone is just going to keep repeating, and apparently it's the truth. They're all similarly graded. So I just I'm not saying Khalil Herbert doesn't need to work on that, but I just think it's a bit of an overstatement that he cannot pass block, and David Montgomery was that much better than him.
And you guys, real quickly, we're seeing in the chat, it's like, well, Deontay was behind a better offensive line, and then you have, David Montgomery obviously had to deal with what he had to deal with in Chicago. I think the big thing we're going to see out of Deontay Foreman this season is, again, reliability. Will he be out there on the field? He has had injuries, that have plagued him in the past. And if he can be out there, because David Montgomery was a pretty sturdy running back while he was with Chicago, playing in 60 career games with the Bears. But that's going to be the big thing. And we'll see with this offensive line, hopefully they do some more upgrades to it. If he can still be as productive as he was in Carolina, hopefully more with more opportunities. But that's the big question mark, and we'll see if that gets answered. We will see if it gets answered this season.
I mean, the most games that Foreman had ever played in the season before last year was 10 back in 2017. 1, 6, and 9 games. And for his career, he's got, now you could argue, less wear and tear, baby. He's got 443 attempts compared, if we're just doing the Jamal Williams comparison, to 915. And, his average yards a carry, Jamal's a 4 yards a carry guy. This dude's 4.3. And when you watch him, I mean, Foreman can be very exciting. I get it. I don't
He's got burst. And, I know there's some people that are not going to like when I say these things about, I had respect for David Montgomery as a running back, and Grasser in the chat. Braggs, you are delusional and sometimes crazy. Agreed. I know. Trust me. That's fine. I'll wear that with pride, but I'm still going to stand by what I believe. And I've watched these games just as much as every single one of you in the chat. And I know burst when I see it, and he just didn't have it. And when you're talking about playing alongside Justin Fields, who is someone that the defensive line and linebackers have to account for at all times, that makes your job even easier when you're running the football, because they're so worried about this athlete that's going to kill you. To me, you got to have some home run hitting ability in your bag when you're lining up next to Justin Fields, because now you got two guys, they're doing the zone read, and you're trying to pick between who's going to take that ball between the running back and Fields. Good luck to you. And I don't need 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I need cut back and take it to the house running backs. That's what I need.
Informal poll on the show and in the chat. Do you think the Bears will draft a running back? Do you think the Bears, I'm not saying 9 overall if they stay there, or at any point, not even in the top four in the top 64, do you think they will draft a running back, or is Poles in his mind done? Feels to me like he's done. I would love to see them draft a running back. Let's find the Pacheco of this year's. Let's make that brilliant Chiefs move right here in Chicago. I know we'd all sign up for that, but will they at least take a spin on a guy?
Hopefully. I think they can add to the position still, especially in the later rounds between 5 through 7. Day three running back for the Bears, all for it. I think that'd be a good addition to have, especially because, again, Foreman's on a 1-year deal, 1 year, $3 million, and then we still got to see with Khalil Herbert, Tresson Ebner as going into year 2. And then you have Travis Homer, who's more that third down guy, going to play a lot of special teams. So you can add another running back, I think.
Another one for the chat. Who's better, Homer or Moreano? Who would you rather have on your team, Homer or Moreano? I mean, Nick comes with it every single day. And by the way, if you want to go in the fullback room, we could put Braggs out there. I mean, look at that guy. You can just smell him as a fullback. I mean, just to yeah. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So it seems like most people think. And Steven just turned it into a poll. So whether or not they'll draft a running back, it seems like overwhelmingly people think that they will.
Yeah, at some point, I'm sure they will. Very unlikely in those first 3 or 4 rounds. So, I mean, that was where I'm talking about trading back and adding more second-round picks and picking some kind of guy in a position of luxury as opposed to need. A guy like Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. You want to talk about zone read and a cutback quick dude that's going to give nightmares next to a guy like Justin Fields for defenses. That would be an ideal guy. But now that they've filled this running back room the way they have, I'm not saying Foreman is a long-term answer, and I'm sure they won't re-sign Herbert the day he becomes available, the same they didn't re-sign Montgomery. So maybe they would. I don't know. But that's why I want to trade back. So Ryan Poles has so many options that he can do whatever he wants, and I'm just going to be so excited. And then come training camp, I'll probably pick him to win the division.
The Bears will be a sexy pick to win the division by some. If if they had been a little bit more aggressive here, like if Orlando Brown was running around, if they had gone and paid and hit on Javon Hargrave, there would be people right now who were saying that, leaning into the Bears as your NFC North champs. They didn't do that, so I don't think right now, when you have no idea how they're going to get to the quarterback, anyone's going that far. But who knows by what this is going to look like come even training camp. All right, Nick, you're getting a lot of love on your athletic ability. I don't know if it's because of that video you did with your dad where you were shooting jump shots, or just your good looks, or whatever the hell's going on, but people like you. By the way, your jump shot needs to be released way quicker, and I'm available to help that thing out. But you start here, you bring it down, then you bring it up, you take a shit before you shoot it. We can get that thing quicker. I can help you.
I appreciate the feedback. I just had to shoulders maybe a little bit earlier before making all those threes. So maybe that was impacting the shot a little bit. But yeah, we'll have to all go play at some point. But yeah, I'm so down. Real quickly, you guys.
Yeah.
I just need to tell everybody, because all this great content that we're doing, this off-season coverage, do you know who it's brought to you by?
No.
ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. You can learn more at ComEd.com/poweringbiz. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities we serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. An industrial engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. There you go, Carm. Don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips and to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz. So are you ready to sign up for the facility assessment? Call them at 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. Email businessee@comed.com or request an assessment.
Yeah, and I want to tell you guys about an opportunity you have to get. You want to go watch Michigan State in the Sweet 16, a team Purdue beat twice, once by 30. You want to go see Gonzaga, a team Purdue beat by 20 this year. Well, they're still in the NCAA tournament, and you can get courtside seats if you use the Game Time app. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. Ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could? 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert. It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bears tickets because Game Time is created by the fans for the fans. Guarantees the lowest price. If you love CHGO Crystal, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. Use Game Time.
Did you just take a shot at Northwestern?
No, I didn't. I left them out. See, look.
The Hart Foundation says you took a dig at Northwestern.
No.
I didn't hear it.
I talked about Gonzaga and Michigan State.
Did you mention?
I didn't say anything about Northwestern. We lost to Northwestern.
Did you mention that the Cats went into Michigan State and beat Sparty this year?
I forgot to mention that.
You should have mentioned that. That's okay. All right, new thing going on here on Bears After Dark. I'm going to try it out today on the fly here. We got however much time we have left in the show. We can hang out all night. Steven loves to go late on the show. So anything that you want to talk about in the chat, you can do the super method or not. We can answer some questions here as we wrap up. I also, one thing that I did miss that I want to just cover from Peter King's piece, which I thought was the most interesting thing that came out in Bears land. Let me just read this out loud. He's right. Win the ninth. He means with the 9th overall pick, you either trade down if you don't love what's there or make the right choice in a tricky spot. The biggest X factor in this draft will be Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter, who possibly will fall to 9 now after being the best overall prospect 2 months ago, than having a disastrous offseason. Poles has to figure out if Carter's legit if Carter's a legit hard-trying football guy or an irresponsible problem person, and whether he's the kind of person and player he wants to bring into a building franchise with character and ethos crucial elements to long-term success. I can't emphasize how important this is. If Carter is there when Poles picks, he has the kind of decision to make that could define his term as the Chicago GM. If Carter is there when Poles picks, he has the kind of decision to make that could define his term in Chicago, right? It'll be fascinating if Carter and or one of the 2 offensive tackles, Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, are there at 9. Both needs are major. Now, he's talking with Poles. Him and Poles are communicating. Poles is talking to him about the decision that he almost traded with Houston. It wasn't exactly sure. Henceforth, pulled the trigger. Was getting excited about doing something historic. Didn't happen. So when you have that level of relationship, most likely it plays into how things are written. And I'm wondering if this is sort of like a test case that's being put out there by Peter King, with sort of like maybe he's saying to Poles, like, hey, I'm going to write this, see what the reaction is, see how Bears fans feel about it. You can kind of boil that into your pot of decision making, which, I don't want Poles to be drafting any player based on what the fans think. But I do think that it's interesting that Carter's in a piece where he has, he's clearly been talking to Poles and he's got it out there. I don't know. Did anybody have that level of reaction reading it that there's sort of your mind spinning, like wondering what exactly is going on here?
I just feel like for me, when I read it, it's like Poles is like opened up the book to Peter King, right? Anything that, they're talking about, it's out there, right? Yeah, they are besties. I mean, this isn't the first time they've communicated with each other, right? Since getting the number 1 overall pick. So it's very open conversation. And I think that, when you think about it the way you're thinking about it, Carm, could it be deliberate, right? Getting the message out there. That's, a big part of the job for what, reporters do. So yeah, I think that would be a huge decision, because I think before all this Jalen Carter stuff came out, we were saying, okay, if the Bears trade down to 4, right, with Indianapolis, if it was Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, for me, it was Jalen Carter all the way. I know Adam was very similar. And then everything happens. Like, I don't know, but the talent is what keeps this a conversation. That's honestly what it is. Because he's so talented, this is why it's still a conversation. That's why if he's there at 9, it is a huge decision for Ryan Poles. If he's in that spot and willing to take a player there and it's not Carter, then you got to see what he ends up doing in the NFL. But that's why it's such a conversation. He's amazing on the football field.
You almost wish he's taken before 9, so we don't have to worry about this, because it is a monumental decision. Go ahead. I don't know. You were gonna say.
I love that concept. Go ahead. Go ahead, Raiders. Take him at 7. Let's go.
So we don't have to think about this, because it's a tough one. I mean, like I said, before all this stuff came out, we're talking about only trading back to 4 so we can get Anderson and or Carter, which would have likely been Carter. And Adam Hogue was saying he'd have taken him number 1 if there were no trade backs. That's how impressed he was with his tape. And I trust what Adam Hogue says. A lot more than anything I say on here. And so, what? You got a funny face. You've mentioned Hogue more tonight in this show than you've ever mentioned him on any other show. So I'm wondering if you're trying to kiss up to Hogue. No, it's to get people to go back and watch the afternoon show if they haven't watched it. It was a good conversation today. So I'm not kissing ass, especially with Hogue, who was twisting the knife all weekend on me. He did retweet the postgame show and had nice words for my postgame show. So I appreciate that. But regardless, no, because before he did that, he was like public enemy number 3 behind Kevin and Cody. So regardless, back to this whole thing. It's like Because I would love to take Carter at 9 if you told me he's going to work out. But the one thing I'd like to push back on is this idea that like it's his career defining decision. The GM for the Jaguars had the number 1 pick in the draft last year. All this cap space with a quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, that they're trying to groom for the future. They essentially missed on their number 1 pick. The number 1 pick. They did not take Hutchinson, who was the better player. They did not miss a beat from that because they made a bunch of other good moves. And if all of Ryan Poles' career is defined by 1 pick, he's not a good GM. They're not going to hit on every pick. So you have to be a good enough GM that you hit on enough different decisions that one thing that doesn't work out, whether it's free agency or in the draft, doesn't make you, doesn't skip a beat onto what you're trying to build. So to me, you take him, and if he doesn't work out, you can't blame him for he's just a dynamic talent that falls to 9 you can't miss. And if he doesn't work out, you have 2 first-round picks next year, and you better just keep building this thing up and becoming a good team regardless of that.
You make sense, Gregory. You do. I'm with you. However, if you bring in Jalen Carter and he causes all sorts of distractions, and I don't see Matt Eberflus as a skilled handler of a player that's gone awry and doesn't fit in the hits principle. This is not somebody that is adept. Why? What was that?
I disagree. Look at how the Tevin Jenkins situation got handled last year. In mini camps last year, he had Jalen Johnson at the second team when there was a little bit of friction. Velus Jones, he put him on the practice squad when he wasn't living up to he proved last year in different times. The Roquan Smith situation, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus were steadfast as Roquan Smith made a scene for Family Fest 30 minutes before practice started, putting out his St. Omni press release over with Ian Rappaport. They have shown that they're not going to give in to different players' personality, that they're going to have their culture and their foundation set to their terms, much better than the previous regiment. So I disagree with that. He's shown an ability to not take crap from different people, so to speak.
You make a lot of good points right there, and maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. So well said. And this would be a different level. I'm talking about a guy coming in who they are relying upon in a huge way. Tevin, it was at that point in time, it was easy to cast him aside. And then they threw him a bone. Hey, buddy, we're moving you over to guard. And Tevin, to his credit, ran with it. The Jalen thing was interesting too. But Jalen, Jalen's a good character, man. Jalen Johnson's, you weren't met. This would be, I'm not, you soothed me there, but this would be a different type of handling. A huge talent, who you need, who you drafted, who your GM is relying on you to handle. It'd be a heavier lift.
Especially if he didn't work out as a player. More so if he made more bad off the field decisions. It's less about whether or not if he's good or bad on the field. The egg on his face would be if he drafted him and then he's driving down Lakeshore Drive at 130 miles an hour. That's the egg that you have to worry the most about, more so than if he's going to be a good player on your defensive line, because there's a good chance he would be just by looking at what he did at Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at dudes who can handle that level of guy, we're in Belichickian land. It takes a very seasoned head coach to step into something where you become the organization that can take other people's problem childs and they come here and they step right into your culture, fall in line, and are effective on the field. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the Flus is ready for that. But one thing about him, though, to what you just said, the Flus is going to Flus. He ain't bending. He'll floose it up. So, I mean, maybe that level of accountability could be good
let's
for
hope he
Jalen
gets
Carter.
drafted before the Bears, but just not to the Lions. Because all the people saying don't take him in the chat. If the Lions take him, now he's our problem that we have to deal with 2 times a year. And I doubt people are going to be as boisterous about how much of a bust he's going to be when we've now got to deal with him. So let's hope somebody else takes him. And I'm fine with that because then we'll just trade back.
All right. I offered up questions to the chat here. So before we get out of here, I want to get some in. I know I saw someone. Here we go from Kyle Waddle. Everyone keeps talking about trading back at 9, but what do you guys think about Pulse trading back 53, 61, or 64? He did last year. You know what, Kyle? I'll answer that one first. You guys can go. I do wonder if he's going to package 2 of those together and move up. I'm wondering if he'll go the other way and identify somebody that he wants to go get. Either if he doesn't, like, let's say he drafts for defense. Let's say they stay at 9, draft for defense, and there's an offensive lineman that he really wants that he thinks is going to go which would be much more Ryan Pace than Ryan Poles. But I do wonder if he's given himself enough flexibility that he would be comfortable doing that if there's someone that he really likes.
Yeah, that would be an interesting, situation for Ryan Poles being, because everything he's done is trade back, accumulate more picks. But if he sees like someone in the trenches with, that middle of the second round, third round area, that could be an option for Ryan Poles to get the best players available right now. And I think he's doing that to help Justin Fields, because I think that's what 2023 is ultimately going to be about. And he's starting to surround him with a little bit of talent. But to me, I don't think we see the trade back this year or the trade up this year. If anything, 2024 would be that year where you maybe know more about what Justin Fields is. You saw what he can do with more talent around him, and now you're making moves. Now we need to get these types of players. So, it's all a possibility with the draft capital they have, and depending on how their board sets after certain players come off at certain times throughout the draft. So, definitely an option.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he was talking about trading up with those picks, correct?
He's talking. He wants to know if you trade back. I went the other way and just said trade up. I'm wondering, can you see a trade back?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Ryan Poles strikes me as a guy that's going to trade back every year at some point in the draft. I think he just understands the analytics of acquiring talent on your team. And the more picks you have, the better chance guys are going to work out, because there's busts in every single round. So the more bullets you have to shoot, the better the shot you're going to hit. So I just think he understands that and will always trade back. So I agree with Nick that I doubt a trade up happens this year.
This one's from the Chauvin. We'll go RW528. Who do you prefer, Peter Skoronski or Paris Johnson, and why? You want to put on your offensive line expert hat? Because I'd like to just say Skoronski, because Cats over Buckeyes. Let's not even why would you even consider?
Nick's the film guy. Let's
all right, Nick, we defer. What do you got? Because I just want the Wildcat. I'll be honest. That's how I feel about it. But either one would be fine with me if they're going to go O-line.
Yeah, and these are presumably you're playing these people at left tackle. I'm probably going to go Paris Johnson here for my pick. But I don't think. Look, you get Peter Skoronski. I think you have to. If you're drafting him top 10 at number 9 overall, he's playing left tackle. Okay, so that's how I see it. So, but I'd take a shot with Paris Johnson, and he has more of the prototypical build that you're kind of looking for when you're looking at your tackles. But I think Pierce Grant is going to be a hell of a player, to be completely honest. Like, just that stable guy that you can count on. But there's probably more upside with Paris Johnson if that comes across how I want it to.
Yeah, and if you judge it by draft boards, Johnson is higher on most than Skoronski. So I think that would be the overall consensus. By the way, Hair Bear keeps on throwing out love at you, Braggs, for getting things right and right and right again. And Hair Bears is my guy, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, you're looking like a hair bear with that stuff on your head there. The year of revenge is mine.
Was this a plan coming into tonight? No, you just.
I'm coming with heat now. I see how you guys show love. I'm gonna show that love right back. Hair Bear.
Hair Bear.
Not that Air Bear. You there.
You're just calling me a Hair Bear.
I'm calling you the Air Bear. I'm sorry.
No. Don't apologize. Just lean into the part of you that is just a raging
lunatic.
I don't even know lunatic. I was going to go another way. To the show, wants to know: do Poles mentors have a history of trading up? Mahomes, maybe the only player I recall Casey doing that for when, of course, moved up to 10 to get the greatest quarterback of all time, and in a draft where the Bears didn't. That'd be an interesting. Honestly, Chauvin, I don't know if anybody else has a better answer than I have on this one. I'm not sure who Poles' mentors are. He's like, who is he leaning on for questions? It's a great question, but it's a very fair question. Where is he garnering his philosophy from? However, I just listening to the guy talk, and what his gut feeling, and you got to have conviction, and this dude just trusts himself. So I think it's a trade up, trade down. I think the Poles mentorship is people that once they have an idea what they want to do, they move. So I don't think it's necessarily a trade up and or a trade down, but I think it's more so being bold.
Brett Veach should be the guy that I think, obviously a general manager in Kansas City, where he would get a lot of his maybe tendencies from. Not everything you learn from the people above you, but try to make it your own. Kind of like where we were telling the students, earlier today, Carman, about how to, find your voice in journalism and reporting. But I'm trying to find quickly on the fly how many other trade ups the Chiefs have done other than Mahomes. And of course, I'm not finding exactly what I want to find right on the fly there, but that would probably be the first person that he would look to in terms of how to do things. He also mentioned, I think, was in the Pierre King article or the Albert Breer, but mentioned, I believe, Andy Reid and how they kind of operate as being something that, you want to also bring, or you want to look at for your model in Chicago. Like, those are people that have been successful. So you're going to look at that as you're trying to build your team in your own version of it.
By the way, our poll says that 65% think that the Bears will draft a running back, as opposed to 35% who think the other way. 100% of the chat thinks that my hair is amazing and that Braggs is a jerk. So thank you, thank you so much for that. And it's true. I'm going to be thinking about this tonight and might make an appointment to get a haircut. And I might go cut and color on your account, buddy. I might take some of the gray out. I might go into a little gray blend. I've done it back in the day.
I don't want to hear no jerk. Who was the one that posted a picture wearing a purple sweater out of my wife's closet? I stuffed myself into it like a fat sausage into this medium sweater, all to wish you good luck for your first round game. And then how do I get the favor returned? Twisting the knife. You've got nothing to say. You're just texting away to your sources, probably David Kaplan.
No, I'm looking. I have some little piece of revenge that I'd like to send to Steven that he could potentially put on the show.
Here we go. We go. Now we're getting into the After Dark.
Yep.
Now we're getting into the After Dark.
Except I don't know how to use Slack.
No, but, while he's doing that, Nick, the one thing, because you guys were talking about it today on the show, was the decision that Poles made to trade back to 9 instead of doing 2 and then trading back to 9. And I just completely, anybody that says that wasn't the right move just isn't, to me, I don't agree with that, because it would have been such a risk. And I find it surprising and also hard to believe that the Texans would have given up a future first-round pick to move up one spot. I just don't believe that. Now, if you tell me that is a definite thing that would have happened, then there's a discussion to be made. But I don't know if that's a concrete, piece of information that would have happened. So in that regard, moving to 9 made the most sense in the world because you're never getting a first round pick, in my opinion, to move to 2, nor are you getting a talent like DJ Moore. And had they moved to 2 to then move to 9, you have to wait all the way until the night of the draft to move from 2 to 9 because the Panthers, depending on who their guy is at quarterback, they're not going to trade up to there until they know what that Texans are going to do. So it would have just created more tension and uncertainty for Ryan Poles. So I thought he got as much out of this as he possibly could, and it was the correct move.
Yeah, and Greg, to your point, Peter King was, just replying to some people on Twitter today about that. And he put in, here's his response to one of the people on Twitter. He said, GMs in Poles' seat have to caution against greed, what we were just talking about. Carolina's not paying nearly the same to move from 9 to 2. So there is no guarantee that you get that number 1 wide receiver in DJ Moore, even if the Bears tried to do this double trade down scenario. But it was interesting to hear that he said he doesn't know, maybe these quarterbacks could have had a bad pro day and that could have changed the perception of things, but it's that hadn't happened yet. Right. So maybe they could have had an excellent pro day and now even more teams want to move up. But yeah, I like the trade that Ryan Poles made. I think he helped his football team, not only now, but in the future.
Right. I mean, the list of names that Carm put out there for free agents, and you add DJ Moore to that, and they're still the top team with salary cap right now, the top team with the most amount of money available. And they're going to have a ton of money next year, more than likely available, with 2 first-round picks, second-round pick. Because the Lions are having a great offseason. They have 2 first-round picks this year and a team that's on the rise. The Bears could be in that exact same spot next offseason. I think we're on the exact same trajectory as where the Lions were last year as we are this year. And that's exciting because the Lions are moving in the right path. The Lions and the Bears, of all teams, are moving in the right path, and the Packers are the team everyone's goofing on right now. So it's kind of a bizarre world we're living in.
Hey, Greg.
What?
Question for you. What'd you have for lunch today?
What did I have for lunch today? I had a burger. Why?
A burger.
Yes.
What else did you have?
That's it.
I think we have a live picture of you at lunch today, if I'm correct.
Oh, here we go. The lost pictures of the combine. How nice of you, right? I give you the purple sweater picture.
Didn't you say you were starting your diet today?
I started working out. Thank you very much. Went to the gym to blow off steam, and now we're getting to the AG1 diet, whatever we can possibly do. But you're right. The revenge tour includes fit, lit, legit brags. So you better watch it. He's coming for you.
I mean, considering how strong you are, if we can go back to that picture, I mean, think about how much food has got to be in that little white.
Steven, cut the shit, Steven. End the show right now.
Look at how hard he's working to hold up that thing. There must be 4 burgers.
That's my lunch pail, hard hat lunch pail.
I believe we have. Do we have video of him eating lunch too? I believe we do.
Oh my god, this guy.
The video's coming. It'll be here in just a second.
We do. if memory serves, I know we have video.
All right, Steven Johnson.
I don't know if you have that. I don't know if that came through or not.
The video's coming. Give me like a minute on that. I'll have it for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Just,
that's fine. I told Kevin, you guys better watch it because I'm the only person capable of bricking up every single exit point in CHGO, where I could literally trap you guys in there for you to never get out. I'm the only one that's capable of doing this.
Do we have isn't there somebody in HR that we should talk to about the fact that you're threatening to brick in the company? That doesn't seem like a legal thing to do.
No HR.
I mean,
they would be on my side.
Are you
on my side?
I mean, are you gonna show up at my condo in the South Loop and barricade me in there too, and just so we all can't live life? How long would that take you to do? If you brought the stuff, could you? Yeah.
It would take hours. Okay, it's not something that happens.
But so
quickly.
you could do it
unless I use block and not brick. If I use block, it goes a little quicker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just be
Gotta make sure
careful.
Greg
That's what
doesn't
I'm
get any
saying.
block.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right.
So you better watch it.
Yeah.
This video. I'll tell you what, Steven Johnson. You better be very careful because my revenge list is growing rapidly.
Oh, you're about to add one to it. Here we go.
Who are you talking to?
I'm on the phone.
Who are you talking to?
It's my sources.
Did you bring me lunch?
I did not bring you lunch. Did you bring me a coffee? You're drinking Starbucks. Did I
Hey,
get
Woo.
Starbucks?
Why are you so mad?
Because I don't want you taking pictures of me today while I'm eating.
Come on, man. I'm not. It's not a picture. This is a video. I mean, I'm really 4 years old. I admit to it, but that was great fun.
I was working the sources line, Hair Bear. That's right.
Who were you talking to?
I don't know. I don't remember. My sources.
Yeah.
My sources. That's who.
And then do we have the one of Bragg's doing the
Oh my God. This is
I'm getting that one too. Give me just a second.
all right.
what is going on here? Oh, most nights, Carm's like, oh, we're ending the show here. Have a good night. Now let's hang out and put up fat videos of Greg.
No, it's got nothing to do with anything other than the fact that you deserve it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
I deserve it. I've been through enough. Okay. Friday was punishment. It's a lifelong. It's a life sentence of punishment. They're gonna show that Fairleigh Dickinson highlight the rest of my life, and until Purdue wins a national championship, I'm gonna have to live with this forever.
yeah,
Nick's moved on to playing video games.
Well, and I'm gonna have to live with this thing on my head, and that
That's right.
Now I got to think about tonight when the head hits the pillow. We all love you, Gregory. Apparently, the other video that Nick sent is having some technical difficulties.
Good.
So we don't have you harassing me and rooting.
I do like because I see Edward Elric says Braggs is a good sport for putting up with Cram's shit. I like that there's people in the chat now calling you Cram. I want to institute this. I'm going to start calling you Cram too every now and then. Not
That's
every
fine.
time.
You call me
But I
Cram.
like this Cram.
Bragg,
Then this other guy had Carm, but the A was a clown face. I liked that one too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the chat's coming up with some good stuff here lately.
Yeah. All right. Crystal, on your side.
See?
Let's leave Braggs alone. He's going through a lot right now. Crystal, it's an excellent point. It was, I think the hair comments hurt me tonight, and we went too far. I should have stayed above the fray. You're absolutely correct. And Jonathan on your side too for $5. Super chat to lift Bryce. I'm with you, bud. Brick by brick by brick. Actually, there we go. Any other super chats that we missed him? Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate you, brother.
Yep.
Andre 1999. Sorry, we could have done this one earlier. If a corner is the best available excuse me, let me start at the top, Andre. If a corner is the best available option at 9, would our Bears take him, as in Devin Witherspoon? It's a great question, Andre. They should be drafting best player available, so I would say the answer to that is yes. If he grades that, if that's how the board grades out, that would be my guess. Anybody
Christian
else?
Gonzalez is also really good corner if he's out there from Oregon. But hey, best player available. If it lines up with Poles' board. Even though, that would be an amazing secondary now. Now you have a bunch of young guys who showed some good things in Gordon and Brisker. And now pair that with A. Jackson and then a corner.
Could you imagine the amount of Bears fans that'll lose their mind if back-to-back years, last year we took 2 secondary guys with our first 2 picks, and then this year in the first round where everybody's got these dreams of offensive linemen or defensive linemen or even Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he takes another corner. It does go along the line of when you listen to Ryan Poles talk about positional value. And cornerback is one of those high value positions, wide receiver, corner, quarterback. Those are the highest paid positions. Tackle, right? Those are the highest paid positions in the sport. So he may be willing to take someone like that early because you get him on a 5-year deal and he's the top player essentially that you're taking from that group in the draft class. But I'd be more comfortable taking a cornerback if it was in a trade back scenario. Because again, it feels to me, while that is a high value position, that drafting corner right now is a luxury pick when they have so many other needs. So if they were to able to trade back a few spots, add more picks in the second round or in the future, and now they draft a corner, I would be completely fine with that. Staying at 9 and drafting a corner, I would have some questions, but ultimately I'm team King Poles, so I'm going to ride with whatever he decides.
And real quickly, Gary makes a good point. Like, Jalen Johnson might not get a second contract with Bears. Like, I think out of all the possible contract extensions that the Bears have right now with Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, I think Jalen Johnson's going to be the tricky one that gets hopefully eventually gets done. But that one I think might take a little bit because he doesn't have the turnover production that you would like to see out of the position, but he's still a good corner. But, you know, he probably wants to get paid like he's one of those guys that does create a lot of turnovers. So that one might be interesting. And if they draft a corner because of this or not getting a contract done, extension done, that would make a little bit more sense there. But yeah, that one might be interesting down the line.
All right. Anything left here before we say goodbye? And Greg, I owe you lunch on Wednesday.
You owe me.
We do have the other video. Do we want to play that?
Yes, we do. We do.
Yes, we do.
Get him lunch.
We were out the door.
You were this close.
I'm never going to forgive this. You look like such a nice guy, and then you pull this crap.
Turn up your volume. Let's hear it.
Thank you. You care about this? No. Yeah. I think it's funny
Hands up! Hands up! Oh, no chance. Last shot. All the way down.
Not good.
Last shot.
This is not good.
Time for Carman to go. Oh, terrible. No, they got a foul. Oh, they got like 3 fouls.
So
Singing closing time.
So he gets a little bit of a. You got back at you a little bit there.
I was trying to document as much as I could that night, because I didn't know what was going to happen with you and Carr. I had no idea.
Time for Penn State. I mean, I was sitting there like just a ball of nerves. Closing time.
And then this dude's texting me at 4:30 in the morning. It's just a game, Greg. And anyone that witnessed him that night, for him to have the audacity to say something like that to me is pot meeting the kettle head on.
I was trying to help you at 4:30 a.m. to calm down, and we actually read the text. You did calm down after I tried to give you a little bit of perspective. So you're welcome. And you're doing better now. So
that was a fun night. It was a fun night. And then like 30 minutes later, a waitress spilled an entire Crown and Coke all over my sweater. So you talk about karma too. I had instant karma that night. So how much karma do I need?
Waves of 3, buddy. So you got spilled on.
One more thing to come still.
You got Fairleigh Dickinson. And
what else is gonna happen to me?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh
Guys, before we get out, we did get one more $20 super chat from Andre Skinner here.
You guys believe Jalen is a shutdown corner?
I do. I got no problems with Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, neither do I. I want the Bears to have him on the team for sure. He's not top 5. Does he crack maybe the top 12 corners? Probably. I put him up there.
And I think he's a great corner, and we'll never know his full potential on a defense like last year and a pass rush that only had 10 sacks from their defensive line. And oh, by the way, Jalen Johnson was also hurt, and he played hurt. He was somewhat encouraged to play hurt, right? Wasn't that some of the comments after one of the post games that he was like, well, I played hurt. And then he got torched. I believe it was in the Dolphins game that they were picking on him when he was playing hurt. It's been a while since then.
Detroit, the one who was the little
Detroit or
slot receiver that I forget his name.
Right. It was one of those 2 games where he was getting torched, but he was playing hurt. And he's playing on a team that gets absolutely no pass rush. So, and people want to use some of that stuff to say, he's not, this or that. Like, I think the world of Jalen Johnson, and I think you get a good pass rush on this team. He's shown the toughness, he's shown the skill set. Get him a pass rush, get this entire secondary a pass rush, and now you have a linebacking core. This defense could be very, very, very good, in my opinion. So I'm excited. And this isn't going to be like last year where we all kind of came in a little timid about our predictions. I know we were kind of all over the place preseason as far as what we thought the Bears were going to be. But as the season went on, our expectations just kept lowering and lowering and lowering. In my opinion, this is going to be one of those years for me personally. I can already feel it coming by training camp. I'm going to be fully hyped. The Lions, I respect what they're doing, but they still got a lot to prove, and they're the Lions. Good luck to ask any Lions fan how the Lions play when they have big expectations on their shoulders. I like the Bears in their spot as an underdog. Go to bed, Mark. I don't need you. Take him off the screen. Me and Nick will finish this out. Go get a haircut.
How
I only want to be on the show with people with good-looking hair. I don't need your mop on this show.
Do you have to go with your longest take ever at the very end of the show, an hour and 20 minutes in, with your just staring down at the microphone and just going on and on about whatever the hell you just said? JR ain't going anywhere. $10. Is Poole? I believe that's Poles. Is Poles an evil genius for taking all of Carolina's resources after giving the Panthers the number 1 pick? I think Poole is in the office like Mr. Burns. JR ain't going. I don't know what life is like hanging out with you, but I want in. Me and you, and yes, let's go with that. Poles, evil genius, Bears, Super Bowl. That's how we're gonna end this show, unless Braggs wants to do another diatribe. What do you got?
Now all of a sudden you look like the Emperor from Star Wars.
That's what I was thinking.
You look like Palpatine. Just isolate him and have Mark say everything is going according to plan.
I was more going with to my own frighteningness. I felt like I just turned in a Handmaid's Tale out of nowhere. All right, but you can go with the Star Wars. Hey, listen, Bears After Dark fans, we love you to the end of the earth. You are the greatest. The diehards who we see every day, you're the best, and everybody knew. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you know when we're going. But CHGO Bears schedule in general, or not in general, it just is. We go live at noon Monday through Friday, and then we do Bears After Dark 6:30 on Monday nights. And when any Bears news breaks, right here, right now, Braggs, I'm your father. That's a little uncomfortable. I gotta go. Darth. Actually, I want to go out as Luke. I want to go out, with a nice cheesy.
That ain't Luke. That's like the old Obi-Wan.
Oh, rise and shed, Obi-Wan. You have yourself a great night. Thanks for watching, Steven. Thanks for producing. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Braggs will be doing After Dark tomorrow night. Bets, rocking and rolling, and then he'll be in studio on Wednesday. Nick, production off the show. On the show, Herb Howard's going to be in studio with us next Monday, by the way. So I'm excited about that. And we've got some special guests coming Wednesday and Thursday, which apparently I'm not allowed to talk about. But do not miss the show Wednesday. Do not miss the show Thursday. You better be there tomorrow, too. But big week coming up on CHGO Bears with some fine entertainment as a little bit extra this week for you. So we're super excited about that. Thanks for watching. Braggs, you have a great night, buddy.
Bear down.
Bear down.